The FAFSA has failed you. My name is Craig Meister. I'm a college admissions coach, and today we're going to talk about the disaster that is the free application for federal student aid in 2024. If you want to learn more about me and how you can work with me one-on-one, by the way, you can go to my website, collegemeister.com. So if you've applied for financial aid when you are now applying for college in the 2023-2024 admissions cycle, you probably filled out the free application for federal student aid, which is a federal form administered by the U.S. Department of Education. And you may have heard or noticed, you may not have even heard this, so this may be news to you. But guess what? The FAFSA form, the FAFSA application for aid, has failed. What do I mean by that? Well, it basically has not, in many cases, arrived at the colleges and universities it needs to arrive at, or it's arrived in bits and pieces, or a lot of other back-end hiccups and tech issues are causing the colleges not to have the data they need from the FAFSA in order to determine your and your family's aid package, if you're going to get an aid package at all. One notable issue was for students whose parent or parents were not individuals with social security numbers. Students were not even able to complete the FAFSA, even though they should have been able to. I mean, this is basic stuff. The form is a disaster. Why is it a disaster all of a sudden? Because the FAFSA has existed for years, decades. Why is the FAFSA in 2024 a disaster? Because they redesigned it at the U.S. Department of Education to make it more family and student-centered. And what is family and student-centered look like? It looks like a form that was 3 months late, because usually the FAFSA is available to all families to start filling out in October 1st of a student's 12th grade year in high school, the fall before the student goes to college, hopefully the next year. But this year, the FAFSA was not available for families to start completing until winter break, really basically January 1st, give or take, 3 months late. Pathetic, absolutely pathetic incompetence by the U.S. Department of Education. And once it was available, like I said, it's not even working, the new form. So many colleges, particularly public colleges in the United States of America, rely on the FAFSA and the data it provides colleges in order to package up a student in terms of aid. And it relies on what for many years has been referred to as the federal methodology for determining aid and splicing out that aid in the form of grants or loans or subsidized included, of course, and as well as work study, all that fun stuff. Well, again, the form is completely non-functional, and we are now in February of 2024. You may be watching this in the future, but this video is produced in February of 2024. And so colleges that are reviewing now students' regular decision applications and trying to make determinations on them and wanting to push out decisions on them in terms of whether they're admitting or denying the students, obviously this impacts the admitted students. They also want to be able to send out financial aid letters and communicate what, if any, aid and the form of the aid that it will be, the student will or family will receive, but they can't do it because the federal form is a disaster. So if the college has relied on, it's not working. It's completely non-functional. So if the college relies on the FAFSA in order to determine aid, you're not going to get an aid letter as fast as you otherwise would normally get an aid letter, or they're going to be basing it off of something else. There isn't another form that many private colleges have relied on for years, known as the CSS profile. That form is functioning fine as always. And that form was available in October as always. And the private colleges who have relied on that in the past relied more heavily in most cases on that this year. If they used both forms in the past this year, they've been relying solely basically on the CSS profile. Those colleges have been pushing out aid packages, maybe in less detail, but they've still been providing aid packages that colleges are telling families that they can rely on as not being changing in terms of the numbers. They may be doing some fine tuning in terms of where that aid is coming from based off of getting the FAFSA, but they at least have been able to communicate to students what their and their families what their package is going to total as, what their total output as a family is going to have to be for the year ahead. Whereas the colleges that rely on the FAFSA haven't even been able to do that in all cases. So what is this doing? If you have applied for financial aid, if you are a student in the high school class of 2024 and you were hoping to go to college in fall of 2024, late summer of 2024, Just know that if you have not yet received your financial aid packages, they may not be coming as soon as you should be getting them, or they traditionally would come. They would normally come with your acceptance letter or no later than the first week of April. Now, colleges are in a bind. They are scared. They want their money. They want their deposits. And this is a real problem. And the federal government that they depend on so much for so many things at these colleges and universities has let them down, and they've let you down as well, of course, if you're a taxpaying American citizen. So what are we going to do? What's going to happen here? What do I recommend? This is what I would recommend. Number one, if you've already gotten some packages or you've applied to some colleges with the CSS profile, thank your lucky stars, because you at least are going to get some information to work with in terms of comparing offers of admission and aid packages, because those colleges depended on the CSS profile. Congratulations. If you are relying on some or all of your applications based off of when you get your acceptance letters, if you've already gotten them or you're going to get them regular decision, and they're all going to be dependent on FAFSA to determine whether or not you're going to get any aid and what that aid will look like, then this is what I want to tell you. Do not be afraid. This is important. Do not feel pressured to make a decision about where you're going to deposit until you have all the data at your disposal. Don't let any college or individual tell you, Johnny or Janie, you need to make a decision about where to deposit before you have received all of your financial aid packages and decisions. And this is very important because this could go past May 1st. Usually, 99% of students and families have deposited at one American college or university by May 1st. That's the universal sort of reply by or deposit date. And obviously, if you've already deposited somewhere early decision or early action because you got an earlier priority or rolling, more power to you. You've already made your decision. Goodbye, good luck. But if you have still been waiting to determine where you want to go to college, and of course that's based off of a number of factors, including the money, do not let any American college or university call you, email you, tell you that you need to tell them by May 1st if you don't have all the information at your disposal to make an informed decision about where you're going and how much it's going to cost for your first year in college, fall 2024, if you're a first-year applicant this year. So what options do you have? I mean, it's easy enough for some random guy to tell you don't be afraid. What I'm basically telling you is this: communicate effectively with the colleges that have given you aid packages and they're definitive about the reality of the situation, which is you are waiting to determine aid packages at one or more other colleges. Will these colleges allow you to not deposit by May 1st and actually wait until you receive your other packages if those packages come after May 1st? If the college that you've asked this to, and you're actually frankly going hand in hand to, basically saying you've done the right thing, but some other colleges have been unable to do the right thing and give me a package yet, or if those colleges are unable or unwilling to push their deposit by date or their reply by date after May 1st, if they're not willing or able to do that, then you're still waiting on packages from other colleges into April and God forbid into May, then you as a family have a decision to make. My recommendation would be that if any of the colleges you've been accepted to have given you packages that you actually feel like you could swing, you could make it work as a family, you would not be putting your mom and or dad into debt or family into debt perpetually or yourself into debt for decades to come based off the major you've picked and everything else and how much it's going to cost for this first year. And hopefully, if things go well, it will only remain the same or get better, God willing, in the future. But let's say, you have a package that can work for you for the first year of college and you like that college, if no other packages come through, you'll be happy with this college, then what I would say is you have a decision to make. You can deposit at that one college. You can't double deposit, but you can deposit at that one college. But psychologically, you need to know that you might be getting a better package at another school on your list after you deposit. Is that going to make you feel good or bad? So this is what I would sort of recommend. I would recommend that you strategically think carefully about if you want to deposit, but then maybe defer your admission at that college for a year so that they are not assuming you're going to be in their class, and give it time to see what, if anything, happens with these other colleges May 1st or later. at which, even if you don't defer, you can, if you get it basically an acceptance letter and a package that works for you later on, you can legally deposit at another college later and then pull your acceptance to the offer of admission at the first college into the summer. But you're going to lose your deposit. You're going to lose your deposit at the first college. It's a horrible thing to even discuss because you don't want to do bad by that college that actually got you the information ahead of time. If it was not your first choice though, and you really want to go to another college, you could, like I say, defer, and at least that makes it less painful for the college you've accepted at, because they weren't expecting you in fall 2024 anyway. They were probably expecting you in fall 2025. So if you end up pulling out sometime after May 1st, it's not going to be maybe as insulting to them that you have pulled out. Which, again, the whole thing is a mess. It puts you as a family in a very bad position. But the most important thing I want to tell you is you do not want to make any decision, if you don't have to, before you have all the data at your disposal to determine what really is the best aid package for you and what is the best college ultimately, therefore, for you. So it's extremely important that you communicate to the colleges that you've yet to hear from. You want to ask, is there any way they can give you a preliminary number or some guesstimate or something that is written down in some way? It doesn't have to necessarily splice out what's work study versus loan versus grant, but maybe at least they can tell you, what is the ball? What are we talking about in terms of how much basically I'm going to have to start writing checks for this year? But again, if that's not enough information, which it probably really isn't for most thoughtful families, then you need to tell those colleges that, are you going to be pushing back your deposit by date? I'm assuming more colleges will. Some colleges have already started pushing their deposit by date or reply by date from May 1st to June 1st. And hopefully this will be a non-issue, and maybe later in February or March, this video will completely not stand the test of time, and I'll take it even down because everything will have been resolved and it was just a false alarm. But frankly, right now it is already an alarm. It's already affected rolling ED, EA, and priority applicants because the FAFSA is completely non-functional as of early February 2024. And it's still not really working as of now. There's no expectation it will be fixed by mid to late February. So we're really looking at March or later. Usually colleges start really pumping out admissions and financial aid decisions in early March in earnest. So this is going to delay things. So I'm hoping that a number of more schools, especially those schools that rely entirely and all of the eggs are in the basket of the FAFSA, they're going to push their deposit by date or reply by date to June 1st in, I'm hoping, most cases. But what if some colleges it's all working at and you have a May 1st reply by date? That's a scenario in which you really have to think long and hard about, does that package at the college that has accepted you and given you a package that will work for your family? If it will work for your family and you're okay and at peace with it, you can go to sleep at night feeling that you're not all going to burn in debt forever because of it, then I would say you can deposit at that college, no problem. And worst case scenario, you can always pull the willingness to attend and just know you're going to lose your deposit if one of these late comers comes back with a FAFSA based package based off the federal methodology that will be even more exciting for you and your family, and you're more excited to go to that college anyway. But it leaves a really bad taste in your mouth, and it's so unfortunate that this would happen to individual families. But I mean, look, I don't feel bad for colleges normally, but look, it's sort of the colleges are in a bad position here too. They're dependent on the FAFSA form in many cases. Again, the private colleges by and large have been able to take a detour using the CSS profile, which many have used for years. So those colleges are not wholly dependent on the FAFSA, but many public universities and colleges are. And so what a year for those colleges, because this could really affect their books and their financial situation, especially if they're a college that's not exactly on the top of anyone's list, and they're going to start losing out kids to other colleges and universities that are more desirable to attend that have also been able to package up students with financial aid. But again, what I want to make very clear is that if you feel bad about this, if this is all giving you sort of cold feet, which probably it would for a normal human being, to like not know the financial stability of your family if definitively based off of the offers of admission you may be getting, you can always defer. Deferring is not a dirty word in the case that you can defer admission. You've heard of colleges deferring you from ED or EA to regular. But what I'm saying is you can always accept an offer of admission at a college and say, but I'm doing it contingent on the fact that you allow me to defer attending for a whole year. And most colleges will agree to that as long as you sign a form or two. And that gives you a whole year to do nothing or earn money or do a gap year or get a job, an internship, volunteer. Especially if you've applied for financial aid, you may want to get a job and earn some extra money to maybe make it work. But it allows you to sort of soften the blow a little bit in the event that you end up accepting a few weeks later at a college or university that has been able to package you later than they normally otherwise would have, and they've accepted you, and you want to go there more than the college you initially deposited at. Then you can at least say to the college, go back to the first college and say, look, I've now, I'm sorry, but because of the whole FAFSA situation, I've got a better offer that has enticed me to actually want to attend college in fall 2024. Now I'm ready to do so, and therefore I want to proactively get back to you and say, look, I'm now going to withdraw. I understand I'm going to lose my deposit, but I'm not going to attend your school starting in fall 2025, as I said I would a few weeks ago when I deferred my offer of admission for a year. And they probably already had agreed to it at that point. Again, hopefully we won't get to that in mid to late May and later, a situation. Hopefully all of this will be resolved pre-May 1st. But I can see a scenario in which there are going to be families who are really up against, they're feeling like their backs are up against the wall and have no college, and allow no college or individual counselor at your school, a private college admissions consultant, or a college calling you up, try to put your back up against the wall and make you sign on the dotted line and deposit at a school that you're not yet ready to accept at. If you feel like you're getting that pressure, then maybe you shouldn't even consider depositing and then ultimately losing your deposit at that college after deferring, for a year and then hearing from another school and then accepting that second offer of admission. Maybe you should just say goodbye and good luck, because that is not a relationship that is starting off on the right foot. And if a college is going to try to make you deposit at them before you know all of your other options, knowing how, sort of complex and disastrous this FAFSA year has been, if they're not willing to give you a little bit of leeway in terms of making your decision time-wise, then that is probably a very bad sign as to that college treating you well once you actually are matriculated. So maybe look at this as a blessing in disguise. This is a lot of, frankly, unnecessary aggravation. It all can be traced back, frankly, to U.S. Department of Education sheer incompetence, absolute incompetence. And that's a whole nother story for another day. I don't do politics videos. I do college admissions videos. But it's very, very sad that a very well-funded federal government is not capable of standing up a form for thousands, hundreds of thousands of individuals. That's all for today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like this video, you may also want to subscribe to my channel for future videos and tell your family and friends about it. Otherwise, if you would like to work with a college admissions coach throughout every stage of the college admissions process, which it sounds like you're probably done, but maybe you have younger siblings, you may want to work with me. Go to my website, collegemeister.com. Until next time, and I know this is maybe advice that is hard to absorb today, but please listen and listen well. Until next time, stay safe, stay well, and most importantly, try your very best to stay stress-free throughout the entire college admissions process.